Why don't we go ahead? We'll get started with a couple of introductions and then an opening prayer, and then we'll just roll right into it. So hello, everyone. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I am Steve Welch. I'm Executive Director of Invite, Welcome, Connect. We're very lucky to be joined today by two stars of the Episcopal Church, Canon Jenni Faires of the Diocese of Southwestern Virginia, and Mary MacGregor of Invite, Welcome, Connect board, and one of our Invite, Welcome, Connect main instructors. With that, I'm going to get out of the way and turn it over to Mary for opening prayers.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, everyone. And of course, we want to open with prayer. So the Lord be with you.
And also with you.
I'm going to say a prayer from the book, the Invite, Welcome, Connect book, and it is the prayer for invitation. Gracious God, who has given us not a spirit of fear, but the power of love, grant us courage to step out of our comfort zones, to invite someone to church, to see and welcome the other, and to be willing to discern the gifts God has placed within us. Help us claim our life's work as ministry, as holy, sacred work. Open our hearts and minds with holy listening and loving souls, and give us the moral courage to think outside the box, to imagine the possibilities for our congregations, our beloved communities of faith. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, welcome, everyone. And today we're going to concentrate on the work of invitation. And before we get started, I just want to thank everyone, especially those of you who've hung around and this is your third webinar with us. And if it's your first, that's great. Welcome. It stands alone apart from the other ones. But I just want to say a word of encouragement. You know, things are really hard in the church. We all know across the country things are in decline for all Christian churches in America. We're not alone. And we have work before us. And I just want to remind us that God is good, God is gracious, God loves us. We are the embodiment and the manifestation of Christ Jesus. We have so much to offer, even as small congregations, maybe more in so many ways than the larger congregations. So I just want to pass on this word of encouragement for all of us. We are people of hope. We are people of hard work. And we need to believe that there is real joy in inviting and welcoming and connecting new people into our churches. And this is not necessarily about church growth, but this is about bringing people into relationship in community so that they too may know the loving God that we know. So we have some objectives today. We're going to highlight three types of invitation. Personal invitation and corporate invitation kind of fall under the same roof. Community engagement, how our congregations go out and engage in an inviting way. What is it about a community engagement that is an opportunity for us to invite? And also about communications, how we do communications in our churches, and the use of digital opportunities for us. We're going to also introduce to you a brand new, specially designed assessment tool for small congregations to help you. And Jenny will go well into that and explain that towards the end of our time together. And then Steve will briefly talk about a Lenten study guide that we have, and also an opportunity for us to have another webinar that teaches us the benefits and how to use that assessment tool coming up on February 4th. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to cram it all into now about 55 minutes. We always review the core values of Invite, Welcome, Connect, and they are that we must be prayerful in everything that we do. This is intentional work. We can't just talk about evangelism. We can't just talk about it. Wouldn't it be nice if everyone invited someone to church? We do this with intention, and that's why we have such a practical approach to everything that we recommend. This is about relationships, about how we relate one to the other, how we relate to our visitors who come to us, and then accountability. To be accountable, we've got to be accountable for what we attempt to do. And this is the definition that's used in the book for invitation, and it says invitation is not only about inviting people into a relationship with you and others in your congregation, but rather it is about inviting them into a relationship with God through Jesus. That's what makes us unique. We are not just any organization out there. We're not just any nonprofit. We are the church. And about that relationship, as we invite people in, we are inviting them to be a part not only of our communities of people gathered, but about learning how to be in relationship with God and practicing it through worship and relationships and pastoral care and all the ministries that God calls us to do. So here's just a graphic of the 4 types of invitation. And maybe this will help us think about it as we recall graphically what we're talking about. First, personal, and we know, and I'm going to talk about it more in a minute, but that personal invitation is by far the most effective way to bring people into our churches. And we're going to talk about corporate invitation, and corporate is those things we can do as a community to invite others in. So it's a collective, corporate way of doing things. Then that community engagement, how we connect with the communities around us to invite in, and also communications and digitally. There's a wonderful video. Maybe many of you have seen it. It's by Skit Guys. You can order it. It's only $20 to show your congregation. It's really funny. So let's sit back and watch this great little video about how awkward it is to invite people into our churches.
I'll be inside in a minute. I'm going to say hey to Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Mike.
Flower beds are looking good, neighbor.
Yep. You guys just get back from church?
Yeah, just been at the church house.
I wonder why he never invites me to church. I mean, I'd go if he asked me to go. But this is the way it is. I'm out in my front yard when he comes home from church. It's always so awkward.
It's so awkward. And I'm so hungry. Ugh. I think my wife made goulash. I love goulash. Oh, maybe Joe would like some goulash for lunch. Hey, Joe.
Here comes the invitation to church.
Yeah?
You want to come over
Sure,
for
I'd love to go to
goulash?
church with you.
What'd you just say?
What'd you just say?
No, what?
No, what'd you say? What'd
No,
you
what
say?
did you say?
You said something about God. God.
Goo.
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 Goo. Goulash.
Goulash?
Goulash. It's a...
You're having goulash at your church?
No, at my house.
You're inviting me over for goulash.
Yeah.
At your goulash. Yeah, who doesn't like goulash? I like some goulash. Yeah, sign me up. Goulash.
I'll check and make sure we have enough.
I see you walking away.
You enjoyed that. It's a wonderful short little video. And I bet a number of you who are watching this have seen this before, but I know it's been played at our church in different meeting and contexts. And even if you've seen it once, it never fails to make people reflect on this funny way, this encounter, and how difficult it is for us to personally invite each other. This is a great resource. Remember, it's skitguys.com. Super easy to find their videos. They have them on all sorts of different topics. Let's talk about personal invitation. Now, there's been a lot of research done over the years about churches and also the way that people who have come to church, why they came to church. And without a doubt, all research has shown, and it's been shown this way for decades, it keeps back with the same response, that between 75 and 90% of people come to church because they were invited. And that is usually a personal invitation. So we really, as much as we talk about the other means for invitation, which are all really, really important with the corporate and the community engagement, and also how we go about with our communications, we need to remember that we're not off the hook. But the good thing for inviting others, but the good thing about the Episcopal Church is, and maybe it's not a good thing, but that we are not pressured to absolutely lay down our whole gospel imperative in demanding that people come to church or they're just gonna go to hell. That just is not our way of doing things in the Episcopal Church. We think that it's really, really important to be comfortable in knowing our own faith stories, and that we need to learn how to be comfortable in sharing even just little bits of that. But even if you're not comfortable sharing bits about your faith story, you can always invite someone to church. And this could be relatives, friends, neighbors, co-workers, whoever, that God just asks us to plant the seed, so that we actually say, why don't you come to try out our church? I think you might like it. So we need to know that is by far the most effective way for visitors to really to capture their attention about possibly visiting your church. Another fact that's interesting is that you may have to make a lot of invitations before someone will take you up on it. Only 3 of 10 people who get an invitation actually come. But you know what? It's not our work. We don't need to feel like we failed if they don't. Our work is to plant the seed. Just plant that seed. So the question becomes, how do congregations really help their members invite others to visit? So how can they help? Well, churches can offer classes in sharing your faith. These might be opportunities for each of us to gain a little confidence in knowing our own faith stories and articulating them. And we have in the Invite, Welcome, Connect toolkit on our website something called the Episcopal Church's Evangelism Toolkit. And in that are some outlines for some classes that you can offer at your church about evangelism. There's even a video course, 5 or 6 sessions on Episcopal evangelism, and there's one on people learning to tell their faith stories. And so we've got some tools for you. So churches, this is part of our work. Whether we have 10 people on Sunday or 100 people on Sunday, to help us be more comfortable with sharing just that invitation to come. We also have a resource or something called faith sharing cards, and I might have mentioned it earlier in one of our earlier webinars, but they're actual cards that have wonderful questions on them. We have links to where you can make your own with all the content that goes on the cards, or you can order them from the Diocese of Texas, and they will send you beautiful set of cards that you can use with small groups. You can have a dinner, you can have a whatever you want, but they are fun to do in a small group setting of maybe up to about 10 people. And it helps us little by little get in touch with our own faith stories and to learn to share. And even if you're hesitant to share, you can still join a group who has a faith sharing card activity and just listen. Just listen. Because sharing our faith stories with each other really helps us greater acknowledge God's work in our individual lives and affirms that for us. But they're really, really helpful. So those tools are on our website. Also, we recommend that you use physical tools like business cards that are really artistic. Don't just look like name, address of the card. Get a pretty design, and you might even do it for a special occasion, so that it might be something that you could get a graphic that represents that special occasion on that card and use it when you say, why don't you come to our pancake supper and have a business card with pictures of pancakes on it with the time and the place. And it doesn't have to be worship. It can be to one of our events that we plan. So really, churches have the responsibility to help their people have tools to invite others to come. And they also have the responsibility to have a class that could be annual, to have perhaps something like some faith sharing cards, opportunities in small groups, to do that work so that we all get a little bit more comfortable in sharing our faith. Now, what is corporate invitation? Well, corporate invitation is when our church specifically has opportunities to have visitors come. Now, this could be specifically calendar one internal or external event per month, which we would ideally alternate. We can also do other things that would help our members stay connected without the obvious back door backing out a newcomer, because there's nothing there for them to participate in. It's just easier to slip away and not participate. Jenny, I know you've got a fantastic idea in when you work with your churches about the alternating of types of activities. Would you talk about that for a minute?
Oh, sure. I'd be happy to. I think the hardest part for small churches, particularly that have been in what we call maintenance mode, sort of taking care of themselves, and they're really looking to get back out there, is to get started. And so when I'm working with our small churches, the first thing we do is look at our calendar. And in order to get going, we need to take care of each other. And then we also need to reach out to see what's happening outside of our church. And that's why I really do recommend doing an internal event and then trying to do something external. Let me give you an example. So it's, about to be February and it's cold here. And so, a February event might be for an internal event, might be a chili cook-off. And that you just do a fellowship event. Everybody brings chili. You have a great time. There's really no other agenda other than just to have fun. And this is also an opportunity for people to invite others to participate inside the church. In March, starting to be spring, there's starting to be fairs, there's starting to be things happening outdoors. Perhaps in March, you're doing some kind of street fair in your community where all you're doing is putting your name out there. You're going to staff the booth. You're going to staff a booth with water, and maybe some sort of just sticker swag from your church, but really you're just being a presence in the community. So we're just trying to get ourselves moving in a way that connects each other as members, but then connects us outside in the community. So and someone asked in an earlier chat, how do we do this without a lot of money? And what I would say there is to look for events that are already established and participate in those. Don't try and come up with a whole lot of new things. What you're trying to do is just put yourself in places that you might already be. So that would be what I would say for each month, is to come up with something in each month to do actively, one inside the church and one outside the church.
The fun thing about that is that when you invite someone to church, you can say, we're going to have a special Valentine dessert party, on the Sunday nearest Valentine's, or whatever we're going to do to just make it special, to say we're doing this special thing. So if you schedule very simple things, you can include that in your invitation. And I think the question we always have to ask ourselves is, when we plan these simple events or special Sundays, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, that we challenge ourselves with the question, who are you going to invite? Who are you going to invite? And so that is a question that we should be asking ourselves all the time. So when we make announcements about upcoming events, it should be followed by, and who are you going to invite? And then if you have a special tool, it could be something easily even run off of a church copy machine. That is something we could hand out. Very, very simple is come to that special thing that we're doing, even though it's not much work, or make sure and come by our booth at the community fair or whatever it's going to be. But it's always something going on. It can be very, very simple that we can invite people to. I want to talk about some special, unique Sundays. Once or twice a year, churches really should plan a Sunday with the clear objective of, this is going to be a time when all of us are going to work to invite someone to come. And here are some examples. Bring a friend to church Sunday. And there was a big move years back called Back to Church Sunday. It's a similar thing where maybe once a year we really we rev up our hospitality hour. We have some special cards we make, and we are particularly asking every member to pray about, who is God calling you to invite for our special Bring a Friend to Church Sunday. That's one type of event. Of course, backpack blessings is always something. It's been very popular, especially over about the last 5 to 10 years, for families with children to bring their backpacks so that they can be blessed, and you can bless teachers. And that's just a great event for, maybe you have some nieces and nephews in the area, or some grandchildren, and you want them to come and bring their backpacks and be blessed. Another one is Blessing the Animals Sunday. This is one that a lot of churches do well, but what ends up happening often is they're blessing the animals of all the congregational members. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, we want our animals to be blessed and to have the joy of that Sunday. But it's a tremendous opportunity to rev it up a little bit, get your community involved. You might get flyers out to your local vet, and just whatever you want to do to enhance that, get the word out through your communications, your Facebook, whatever. And you're going to be surprised that people will show, because they absolutely love that. Many churches do it outside, so they do it at a time of year that's comfortable for them. Even some churches that do it, I know my church has done it in our parish hall. So just it's a wonderful, wonderful event. All Saints and Souls Sunday would be the Sunday closest to Halloween. And that's a time when you can invite someone and say, is there someone you have lost that you dearly love, that you would like to have special prayers for said on our All Saints and Souls Sunday? And then we put these names in writing. We might light candles. We might do a special liturgy. Extremely moving to people who've gone through the loss of loved ones. And that's just a wonderful opportunity as a unique Sunday event. Okay, Steve, next slide, please. Now, we can have some special events too. Examples would be Vacation Bible School, trunk or treat for Halloween, perhaps have a musical concert. Maybe you could do a local band, country, Western band, whatever, that might be willing to do it gratis or for a small fee, and you promote the heck out of it. You have this special event, and this is a fun thing to invite people to. Also, lots of churches already have those special things like pancake suppers, gumbo suppers, fish fries, barbecues, whatever. Make those events an invitation event. Hand out flyers, maybe some free tickets, whatever you're going to do to invite people to your special event. So I don't want to overwhelm you with all these ideas. These are just collective ideas of what many, many, many churches do.
Can I jump in here, Mary?
Absolutely, Jenny.
I just wanted to say I wanted to follow up on your note right there, which is we have seemingly in this area in Virginia, a lot of people do oyster roasts, which and we have several churches that do that, and it is a wonderful event, and they raise a lot of money, but it is mostly an internal event. And so what we need to think about when we have events that are unique to a church or to an area is to really decide, who do we partner with in the community already? So are there community organizations that we already are working with? Say you're working with a Boys and Girls Club, or you're working with a local elementary school or whatever, or whomever, or you're going to raise money from that event to go towards a part, like your tip jar for the bar might be going towards a local nonprofit. Be sure to think about who you will invite outside of your own congregation. And it doesn't have to be, it should be perhaps a free ticket to come, because what we want to do is invite people into the life of our church and be very strategic in this moment about the people that we're already working with, because those are already our likely relationships. Sorry to interrupt, Mary, but I did want to
interrupt at all.
Because we had this whole conversation about, well, why are the only people that are coming to your event just inside your church? This should be a great opportunity to bring the community into what you do.
So you really have to, from the get-go, make it your objective to have people from outside your congregation to come.
Yeah.
And it's not just, it would be nice if some people showed up. No. How are we going to issue invitations outside of ourselves? And so that is a question you have to ask. And if you're currently doing one of these things and you haven't really drilled down and been strategic about how are we going to invite others, then let's just start doing it. You don't necessarily have to change the type of event you do, but ask that question. And how do you pose it to your congregation? That our goal this year is to have visitors from outside of our church. Back in the day when I worked on diocesan staff and I talked to congregations, we had a lot of churches that did like vendor fairs and things like that on their property. And my question for them was always this: is your church just a venue? Are you just a venue? I mean, if you allow outside groups to come and use your church for whatever reason, what are you doing to promote your church through that activity? And one of the churches that had a fair on their grounds forever started doing church tours, prayer requests. They had music playing in the nave, to bring people into the building, to show them what they had. I mean, just the very intentional thought about, we like to do this, but how do we get people into our buildings? How do we invite people into our activities and the things that we do? And sometimes it would also be good if you're planning ahead. And I know small churches like to do things month by month often. It does take a little forethought, a little planning ahead. But if you have something and you have 3 or 4 months worth of things planned, put that on your invitation card, saying, in this month, we'll do this and this and this, just to perk the imagination of people who are invited. Oh, this church has a lot of things going on. I think this is a place I'd like to visit. So it's very, very important. So community engaging. How are you inviting the community into your church? And are you inviting your neighbors into something more? So we need to seek opportunities to be a community hub. What is going on? In many of our small churches and towns, their buildings are used by lots of groups. And so you can be a place, rethinking that, where you might have a community choir, or you might have a blood drive, or you might partner with that local animal shelter during that Blessing of the Animals Sunday. And do you invite groups that are using your facilities into the other opportunities that we've just now talked about? They need to know what's going on. So it's important, and that's about communications and how we communicate. And Jenni's going to talk about that. So what do? We've talked about a lot of things. There are certain steps you need to do when you talk about community engagement. And the first thing is you need to determine a need. You don't want to duplicate too much of what's already going on. You want a partner if you can. And you really need to do a little bit of research, a little bit of work to do that. Know that you need to meet and serve with others. You do not have to do these things on your own necessarily. You may want to partner with an existing organization, another Episcopal church, something that's already going on in your town that you want to partner, you want to dovetail onto something else already happening. Knowing that doing things in person, like you care a lot about your outreach, checks are wonderful. Organizations need money, but it's really important to be a face. So if you're going to do something in the community to help the community, you want to show up in person. That's very, very important. Remembering that we are the hands and feet of Jesus. And then we've got to be very intentional about how we spread the word using social media, our local community and communication outlets. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jenni because that's a lot of her expertise. It's all yours, Jenni.
This is indeed the digital age. And so we want to be mindful of how we use our social media, but not forget some of the tried and true ways of which we reach people, particularly in our small towns. They still very much rely on their community newsletters and newspapers and their local radio and TV. So if your church is doing something that would be interesting for the community, definitely reach out and pitch your story, pitch your idea, pitch your new part-time priest, pitch anything that you're doing can be such an exciting story for your local newspaper or radio station to feature. And that is how you raise awareness within your community. Of course, we have our social media platforms that everyone knows about, and I've listed them all here. My guess is most of you all in a small church might only engage one of those, and that is okay. I would probably choose whichever platform the person who's running the media is most comfortable with. So don't try, if you're not a Facebook user, but you're an Instagram user, use Instagram. It really doesn't matter. Choose whichever one you're more comfortable with. One little hint, which I would say, though, for anybody who's into these platforms, Instagram, if you open an Instagram account or if you have a church Instagram account, it automatically posts onto Facebook. So you can make 2 posts for one. So you link your 2 accounts, and if you post on Instagram, it'll post to Facebook. But here's the catch. It doesn't go the other way. You cannot post from Facebook to Instagram. It won't do that for you. So if you want to be on both platforms, use Instagram, link it to your Facebook page, and those will post for you. So our next just a few social media tips, because we know we're all thinking about them, and even our small churches need to have an active Facebook page or an active Instagram page. When a visitor is coming to you, they're no longer just driving through the neighborhood. You will invite them. You may encounter them and invite them to church, and they're going to leave you and they're going to go to their computer and look your church up. So you have to be present in these two spaces. So what that means for a small church is whichever platform you choose, post regularly. It doesn't have to be daily, but it does have to be regular. So 3 to 5 times a week. If you can't do 5 times a week, that's okay. 2 to 3. But your posts should be pictures and they should be engaging. And there should be opportunities of invitation. So if I'm coming to your platform for the first time, I want to see what's happening in your church. So just occasionally, I think people care less about seeing inspirational verses when they come to a church Facebook page. They want to know what the church is doing. So, and yes, I just see a chat pop up. You can schedule posts. That's a deeper dive, but you can schedule posts to go out on those. 2 resources that I do recommend: Exploring Evangelism Through Social Media. That is a free resource on the National Church website. And then this book right here, which is also excellent, is called The Social Media Gospel. It is a good, quick read for anybody who's wanting to learn more about how to use social media for good in the church. Next slide, Steve. Thanks. All right. We are at our website, and the website is the front door to your church now. So again, your first page, it does not have to be fancy. You just need to have a 1-page website that states the mission of your church, the service times of your church, the address of your church, and anything that is important for your visitors to know. So if the only parking that you have for your church is across the street, that should be on the first page of your website. You don't even have to go any deeper than that. Most people are only looking at the front page of your website. So if that's all you can do, just have an up-to-date website, front page of your website. And then, of course, internal communications. And the reason we say this is a part of invitation is because anytime you're putting or asking or inviting new people into ministry, you want to be able to communicate with them. So what is not inviting is saying, hey, come be with us, but then not sharing any of the ways that is possible. So these are all things that you can do to communicate with new members and old members alike. I'm working with a church right now who their newsletter is a Word document. And what I'm trying to help them understand is that for a visitor, from a visitor's perspective, what they want to see is an interactive platform to see what's happening at church. And so you get that through Constant Contact or MailChimp. These 2 are free for a certain number of users, and any church can sign up and learn. It's easy to use their platform. Okay, so I know a lot of you are saying, well, gosh, I can't do this. I'm a small church. And so what I wanted to do is highlight kind of do a case study of one of the small churches that are in our diocese. This church is called Grace Episcopal Church. It's in Massey's Mill, Virginia, ASA 17, and it is a very rural parish in Nelson County. I've just happened to visit there this past Sunday to do some work, some congregational vitality work with them. Now, I wanted to show you what a simple website looks like, a simple professional website. So this is the Grace Massey's Mill website. You can see it's very clear up front what time their worship is, what are their worship opportunities, a message of welcome, what they're busy doing in their community outreach league, and then life at Grace Massey's Mill. And then opportunities for you to join their newsletter and any updates that they have. Now, this is a church with an ASA of 17. And so I was there. They've had a visitor every week so far in 2026. And one of the reasons that they are getting visitors is because someone can come to their website and know exactly what to do. And they know that it's a vibrant, small parish just by looking at their website. And now, Steve, if you'll show what their social media looks like. Again, this is their Facebook page. I think they post twice a week. And one of the things that you don't see here, they do not have streaming. So you're not going to see streaming on their website page, I mean on their Facebook page, but you can get a sense here of the work that they do. Simple, professional, and that's all you need. All right, Steve, we're going to hop back. I also want to say that church has a part-time clergy, so they are predominantly lay-led. This is a predominantly lay-led church. All right, so we have a few minutes to talk, and I really want us to have a few minutes to talk about this digital assessment that we are launching today. So this came about. Teresa, I see that you have your hand raised. So as soon as we finish, we're hoping to have some time for questions. Is that okay? We'll come right back to you.
I think we will. Yeah.
Okay, so this assessment, how this came about is that when I work with my congregations, I love the Invite, Welcome, Connect assessment, but I really needed it to be more user-friendly for me in a vestry setting or in a group setting. So what I did was I digitized this format, and I just simply did this through Google Forms. And what that allowed me to do by digitizing this format, it allowed me to show the results of the assessment to the group at one time in very attractive pie graph form so that everybody sitting in the room could have the opportunity to see the results of the entire group at one time. Now, if you're familiar with Invite, Welcome, Connect, that's usually done at tables. As you take your assessments, you discuss your assessments at tables and then report back to the large group. And so I was looking for a way to streamline that process just a little bit. And so Steve and I connected, and he has made this really beautifully done so that Invite, Welcome, Connect, so that you have this tool accessible to you all the time. So Steve, I'm just gonna show what this looks like. So once we get through the next couple of weeks, a small church assessment is going to be available for those of you who are in small congregations. That was my other ask from Steve and from Mary, was that the original Invite, Welcome, Connect is very clergy heavy. And most of our small churches do either only have part-time clergy or no clergy at all. And so I wanted something that gave lay people the resources they need to do this work on their own. And so we have redesigned this. Mary particularly has redesigned this to speak specifically to small churches. We've simplified the survey. We've emphasized the lay leader aspect of this, but we wanted to make sure it was accessible in a digital format for you as well. So what Steve is showing you now is the Invite checklist streamlined for small congregations.
And Jenny, can I add, we also took on the two other aspects of Invite, Welcome, Connect. We had an assessment for Welcome and an assessment for Connect that are all designed with small congregations in mind.
And what this assessment does is help you discern the areas of focus for your congregation. And so, Steve, if you'll flip to the next one, and this is where the graphic readout helps. So with each question, when you answer your question, it comes into a readout that shows the breakdown in a pie graph form. And so you can easily discern the areas of which your church needs to work or what priorities you might want to set for the new year. So, for example, Steve has right here, Steve, I'm going to ask you to hold right there where you are. It's a question that says, I'm going to do the one that says there's offerings for 2 special Sundays a year with the objective of members inviting their friends. Well, you can see that 67% of the people, just rounding up, say we need to work on this, and then 33% say they don't even know. So that means that for 2026, this particular congregation would really want to schedule 2 Sundays a year to have for community invitation. And so this layout allows you to be able to see the results, not just to have them written down, but to see them right in front of you. And my vestries that I've worked with in this has been so helpful. I print out a copy for them so they have it in book form so they can go back and refer to it throughout the year. So I think you can use this for your whole congregation. You can use this for your vestry, or you can use this just for your, if you have an Invite, Welcome, Connect team. So I hope this is helpful to you as it is for me, but it does help to set priorities for your vestry or for your church as to what you want to focus on throughout the year. All right. So Steve, there are lots of questions when this is going to be available. And so I'm going to basically have it available. Invites ready. And I think there's some formatting that needs to go into Welcome and Connect. And so as Steve has time to finish the surveys themselves are ready. They just need to be formatted with the logos. But they are ready to go. So Steve, I'm going to let you jump in here.
Yeah. So these will, we will send out a recording of this webinar within a couple of days. It will include links to all of the assessment tools, and the assessment tools that when you click the link, the first thing that'll happen is it'll say, all right, you ready to make a copy of this, so that you get your own version. You have to have a Google account to do it, but you click the link and then you have your own version. You can make any changes you want to it. You can then give the link to your copy of the assessment to your congregation or to your team to work it out. But it'll be ready in the next few days, and it'll go out with this recording that a lot of people are watching right now. They're hearing the recording. So
They talk about the event on February 4th, which will really go into how to use it.
Our next webinar coming up, which we're calling Nurturing What God is Growing Among Us, is where we will look at all three of these assessment tools, how to use them, how to make a copy of them, that sort of thing. That's coming up on February 4. That is not technically part of the small congregation series, so you do need to register for it separately. A link to register will be in the email that comes out with this recording, but you can also see on your screen right now, there's a QR code that you can use to register. There's also, we did a tiny URL. So tinyurl.com/IWC-assess. You can also always find any upcoming webinars or events on our website at invitewelcomeconnect.com/events. And that'll show you everything coming up with links to register there. Other questions on the assessment tools before we keep going a little bit? Let's see. Okay. We're going to open up to full questions in just a second, but I wanted to hit a couple of things coming up or tools that I particularly want to highlight for you all. One is we have available for Lent a study guide for use for groups on the book Invite, Welcome, Connect: Stories and Tools to Transform Your Church, which is really the starting place for all things Invite, Welcome, Connect. So it is set up to be a 7-week format so that your group can come together. It has prayers, it has text, it has group questions, and it has videos as well to kind of help you all come together and study the book and get as much from that as possible. It is on our website. It's actually linked to directly off our homepage. If you scroll down, it'll say book study guide, but it's also just right there at invitewelcomeconnect.com/book study. Again, this link will be in the email that goes out with the recording. Also want to just highlight for you all our news and resources page on the website. Most of these pieces also go out in our monthly newsletter, but as we publish things, they go right there on our website. Two things in particular we're highlighting for Lent right now. One is an interview with the creator of Ashes to Go, which is a great evangelism event at the beginning on Ash Wednesday, where people go out in the community to impose ashes. They call it taking church to the streets. And it's a great evangelism event and a place to kind of spread the word that you're a church that is part of the community. And that's a really nice interview with the Reverend Emily Malott, who is pretty much the primary founder of Ashes to Go, which is a nationwide program. We also have an article about the Invite, Welcome, Connect study guide, which has all the links that you need in there as well. And I think that's all that I wanted to hit. Yeah, so why don't we
Just wanted
stop
to say
there?
about Ashes to Go, you do not have to have a clergy person
That's
to
right.
do Ashes to Go. Some people think that you have to be clergy to impose ashes. That's not true.
A couple of
Any
years,
can.
I did it on the train. I went
Mm.
because we had clergy throughout the Diocese of New Jersey doing it at train stations around down the line. And I started up at the northern end and rode it down to Trenton where the bishop was imposing ashes. And I was imposing ashes on the train, but getting off and live streaming at each spot along the way where people were imposing ashes. It was a lot of fun.
That's just a bit of information, of course. I think we have about 10 minutes. It's a miracle. We have a little time to take some questions or comments.
I know Teresa had a question from the earlier segment. She had her hand raised.
My question was that small church's website, which you talked about being professional. It was gorgeous. When you say it was professional, do you mean they hired, they found an agency to build that for them? And can you recommend one?
I can. So they work with a they work with a group called they're called Professional Mojo. And they are a company out of Atlanta. I'm not going to give it. They pay a very small amount per month. Let's just say I think it's a very reasonable amount per month, and and you can sort of work your plan with Professional Mojo about the things that you want your church to emphasize. So, for instance, they wanted to emphasize their website and their social media. Some churches have chosen to emphasize their newsletter. And so basically you talk to them and say, we really just need a simple website. That's all we want. They'll design it for you and put it into play and make it easy to update yourself, or you can pay them a small fee and they can do it. But a lot of times our small churches don't have the human capital to do website work, but they do have some financial capital to do that. And so like this particular company, they're out there. I'm sure they're in your area too, but this is a national company that does other work, and their church work is their side work, and they love that.
Thank you.
But it's Professional Mojo is the name of that company who did that website.
And Julie Cooper in the chat says Google Sites is pretty easy to do, and that's correct. There are also things like Wix is a very good, very easy to use site. I'm not the biggest fan of Weebly, but it's also very, very easy to use. To be able to, if you can drag and drop, you can build a website. I will as a side thing. If somebody is the person who is in charge of your website, make sure they're not the only person who knows the login for that email. I was Canon for Communications for 6 years in the Diocese of New Jersey, and I don't know how much time I spent as a forensic web person trying to find the access to a website.
There's a question about were there some previous webinars to this one? Yes, there were two. One focused on Welcome and the other on Connect. And I believe we have links to those on our website. Is that right, Steve?
Yeah, it's on our. Those are both on our news and resources page, and we'll send them out. We'll send out links to those stories when we send this out. And I see Kevin Mallon's asking, what sorts of things are small churches finding to post 3 to 5 times a week?
So I just answered that in the chat, Steve. But,
I'm sorry.
If you are, most of our churches, I can't think of many that don't have community outreach that they're doing. I'm a big fan of beautiful photography. If you're out and you see a beautiful picture at your church, that's always one to post. Take a couple of pictures on Sunday mornings of what your formation looks like, and post those. And then graphics or announcements of what's happening. Like if you're having some sort of community event, or if there is Just a graphic, a simple graphic with an announcement of what you're doing next week is something that you could post. But, you just need to be regular posting.
And I also say a lot of people are concerned about pictures of children. You can get a release form. I think there's one on our National Episcopal Church website for taking pictures. If you're a parent, you will allow it. Or be very conscious of taking a side picture of a child and not full face on, because there are some concerns, and legitimately so, from people about children's pictures on websites. But
Just
there's
and also,
nothing.
in the general, Mary, it's just no names.
Yeah, no names.
at
Just be
all.
thoughtful. You can take a picture of a group and you can do that sort of thing, but just be thoughtful about up close pictures of children without release forms. Other questions?
There's one in the chat that's from Kim. Any suggestions for a newsletter template which is not overly jammed with information? I feel our current newsletter is too long. Great question, Kim. Yes. So what I would recommend is going to any of the, if you don't use MailChimp or if you don't use Constant Contact, you can create a free account for a certain number of email addresses. And that will help you organize your content into a way that even if you have a lot of it, it looks organized and really put together so it doesn't seem as long. Also, when your newsletter, be specific about what you're going to put in your newsletter. And so you get to choose which information goes in each week, and then set a limit on how long you run announcements.
Yeah. What we do in the Invite Welcome Connect newsletter is, and if you have like a Wix website, which there's a free version, it comes with a blog. So you can put in your newsletter just the most crucial piece of information about what you're talking about, but add the whole thing on the website and give people a link. Read more here. So you can fit a lot more in a smaller space. People are not scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. They read something, and if it's something that interests them, they then click on it, and that they clicked on it because it tracks that somebody clicked on it, and then they can read all the information on your website. And it's almost as easy as doing the newsletter itself.
Wix is a website platform.
Yes.
We don't have a lot of time left, but I would like to mention something about that we covered in Welcome, and that is please make sure you get contact information from your visitors. You cannot follow up with them if you do not have contact information, and I bring that up because a lot of churches are going to text responses. If they get a phone number, they will text and say, "Thank you so much for visiting," blah, blah, and with a link in it if you want to put it in the text. And we need to be conscious of younger generations that expect electronic communications. They expect it. So that's with our newsletters, that's with our internal communications, that is the way forward. And it may be hard for some of us to make those changes, but we must adapt to that. And I will tell you, going to a church, my current church, they have really highly utilized text, and it's amazing the difference it makes in our awareness of what's going on. So internally, it's a wonderful tool for communication. So I just wanted to highlight that and to reinstate the importance of gathering contact information from your visitors, even if it's just name, phone number, email. You've got to have that information.
And as far as inviting goes, a text response to a visitor is a perfectly acceptable way to respond to someone who visited on a Sunday morning if they left you their telephone number.
Yes.
So everyone questions whether or not that's okay. It's completely responsible, okay, and acceptable, and you're likely going to get a response, which is something to think about. And I know we're winding on the hour, but you all are here because you know the importance of invitation, and and we all appreciate what hard work that is. And I dropped in the chat my email because I know we flew through a lot of information. So if you have some specific questions or if you need to brainstorm, please feel free to reach out to me through email or Mary. I think Mary's email is accessible. But the biggest thing, we said it early, is to be intentional. Just start doing something. It doesn't really matter what. Just make a few changes and you're going to start seeing some energy within the people that you serve currently within your church. And that will reflect itself on the outside of your church as well.
Yeah, Jenny, if I got to underline that, just because I know, particularly at small congregations, it can feel so overwhelming. There's so much that you can do, but you have a small team. You don't have to do everything.
Not.
You can do one thing. And it works or it doesn't work. If it works, great, keep doing it. If it doesn't work, do something else. It's okay to stop doing things too.
And finally, if you guys out there have some ideas of what you'd like to see in a webinar, email Steve and say, I'd really love to see a webinar about X, because we want to resource you. We think that small churches is a hugely important focus for Invite, Welcome, Connect, for the Episcopal Church in general, because most of us are small. Most congregations have under 55 people on Sunday. So we would love to hear your ideas. We thank you for participating in this, and God bless your work.
And we'll see you February 4th if you want some more information on how to do the assessment tools.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Do you have a final word?
That's all. I saw Sheila said she wasn't able to get on the Zoom at the beginning, which she should have been able to, but I'm sorry, Sheila. We will send out the recording. And if anybody who wants to email me, my email is on the Zoom registration email that you got back. So
You can get mine from Steve. That'll just make it easy. Thank y'all so much. Enjoyed being with you.
God bless everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.